All right, guys, we'll take this opportunity. Welcome everybody to the Independent Investor Channel live stream on a Friday evening, a touch early, 2 minutes. Okay, it goes with the philosophy that the early bird gets the worm. This will be my first kind of rollout and introduction to this. I'm just going to show it real quick. I have not done a video on this, but this is the newest addition to the Independent Investor Channel portfolio family. And there's some strategic reasons why I entered into this. I got cold feet with the ARK ETFs, went ahead and liquidated that portfolio. What I'm going to show to you guys really quick, just on the onset, is going to give you a quick snapshot of what is actually in that portfolio. So what I did is I took the 10 sectors minus real estate. I put real estate into the Roth IRAs. So I strategically took the other 10 sectors of the S&P, and I went on a shopping spree and bought the stocks that I wanted to buy, stocks that I had researched for many months, and in some cases, many years. Companies like Bank of Nova Scotia, TD, that I've owned before, companies like Goldman Sachs, Costco is in this portfolio, Nike, TJ Maxx, all those good companies that I have never actually owned. There's a pretty good spackling of stocks in this portfolio. Let me go back to it and I'll grab the link for you guys. You don't have to, I'm not going into it right now because I do want to have the opportunity to actually roll that out. But this is a non-affiliated link, so it's just for your guys' visibility and enjoyment. There it is. So the early bird does, in fact, get the worm on the Independent Investor Channel. I know we kicked off just a touch early tonight. It just seems like I don't really have quite enough time. This is the fastest 60 minutes on YouTube. I am one of the original YouTube live streamers back in the day when nobody was doing live streams. So it's great to be with you guys. I run my program a little bit different. Each and every person who makes her way into this opportunity is part of the opportunity. They are part of the movement. Each and every dollar earned as a self-directed investor is $1 in the bucket that solidifies your place in this program. Okay. It's my job to facilitate and bring people together. If I'm seeking out and experiencing success on my end, then I know that the masses have the best chance of experiencing the same level of success that I am, because this program that I initiate, I try to shy away from words like even investing or stock market analysis. I really try to talk along the lines of making this a little bit more commonplace in our everyday language. That's why you'll hear me talk about things like wealth building. Instead of investing, I'll say, hey, I want to become a participant in the market. And that's really what you're doing. And that helps separate the investors from the traders. Investors really want to have a piece of a company long term. That's really what it comes down to, guys. And I think a lot of people need to sit back sometimes and say, do I want to become a participant? Do I want to own companies long term? Do I want to own a piece of these companies? These 67 stocks that I dropped in here, I've got a few $100s each, but this is the dividend growth portfolio that's going to take me to the next level, okay? I really felt with the 5-stock portfolio with ARK ETFs, I felt like that was a little bit heavy-handed in risk. Now, that doesn't mean that I surrendered the ARK ETFs altogether, okay? What I ended up doing was liquidating and taking some fat profit, rolling that profit again for the second time in that portfolio. It's a great feeling to have invested in with house money. So a lot of those positions were bought with some house money. So 14.3 is the starting amount. It'll be fun to watch it grow, yada, yada, right? But I ended up taking the ARK KK, and that ended up providing a strategic angle for me in my brokerage account. 25 share position, so a little bit lighter than what I had in the M1 Finance, but I just felt like the M1 Finance made me a little top heavy in growth. Okay, so no problem. I took my second favorite, ARK G, and put that into one of the Roth IRA accounts. So I did retain the two of my favorites. I really liked the other 3 accounts. I really did. Unfortunately, Merrill, which is something that I shared with my private group, did not accept my order for the technology ARK ETF. I'm not really sure why that was. That was part of the banned list. It wasn't listed. So I don't know what the deal was, but I was unable to duplicate that trade. I did, in fact, try, but I was comfortable with that. I took the two and carried those over into the larger account, so I still kept some exposure to the ARK ETFs because I really like the products. And make no mistake, this has nothing to do with my thesis on ARK ETFs long term. This had everything to do with my specific portfolio moves and to take some risk, to delever some of the risk on what I look at to be a lot of money. $15,000 in that portfolio is a lot of money. And I really wanted to leverage it in the way that makes sense to me. It kind of speaks to the theme tonight. I'm really going to be talking on the lines of expectation of what, as an investor, you need to do to render the most success in investing. And social media experience always has me regrouping and reassessing my application. What I mean by that is sometimes I'll deviate because of the influence of social media, and I have to digress every now and then and really just ask myself, what am I trying to do here? And I want to invest the way I want to invest. And I share that openly with you guys. I win in a lot of different capacities in the stock market, specifically the 5 strategies that I deploy. And I think when people approach the stock market for the first time, I think unfortunately they try to tackle the whole thing in its totality and take one big bite instead of taking it in phases and looking to evolve as a stock market investor, starting with that passive base, getting yourself used to the fluctuation, getting yourself used to the aesthetics of your broker, and then maybe down the line, put yourself in a position to do what I just did with the M1 Finance and to kind of leverage up, right? To kind of add an additional angle or strategy to the portfolio that wasn't there before. Okay, so super important to keep that in mind when you're identifying your own personal strategy. I know a lot of people will come in and they'll opt for the growth strategy, and I know there's a lot of people that are into the swing trading strategy, but I really think you need to give yourself a fighting chance on this gig and getting involved in the stock market, becoming that participant that I talk about. It is good enough for me on the onset. It really is, because I know that the masses are going to have the best chance of success in stock market investing if they just give themselves a chance and they really try to evaluate and step into it lightly and give themselves a chance to align what type of investor they want to be. Okay. Now, new investors may come into the opportunity for the first time. And I've heard a couple people say, man, I catch your live stream and I don't understand what you're saying. I hope that's not the case for a lot of people, man. We're a makeup of a lot of regular people in this group. I just saw J Mac Investing pop into the gallery, which I'll make sure and get him on the live stream after we do the intro. I'd like to run through the portfolio review real quick, Jason, if you don't mind. So if you want to give me 5 more minutes or so, you're welcome to chill out there in the gallery. I don't have a beer for you. I apologize for that, man. He's got his own. So we're going to have a lot of fun tonight, guys. Really appreciate you kicking in here and supporting the message. Remember, supporting this message in turn is a lot like supporting your own initiative. And that's exactly what it's about, being an empowered, self-directed investor. Welcome, everybody. Happy Friday to all. I try not to get too caught up in the success of stock market investing, because I say all the time, if you're going to get involved in investing, you're going to have periods of appreciation, and you're going to have, yes, periods of depreciation or retracement in the portfolio. When things are good, I don't mind coming on and saying that they're flush. I really don't, because again, that's part of stock market investing. I don't think I wouldn't do this if it wasn't about the money. Okay, let's be real. Yeah, all right. If investing didn't exist and it wasn't a wealth building vehicle, I don't think a lot of people would try to pursue wealth by becoming a participant in the market. But I will just say, and I don't know if anybody else is experiencing what I'm experiencing. I'm less than 19,000 away from that $500,000 mark. I took a $10,000 up just this week, and actually a $40,000 up in the last 3 weeks. So things are really on fire. They're great. It's great because, guys, I can't I can't be a proponent of stock market investing if this stuff doesn't work. So it's very, very important for me to roll out what I do with transparency and keep the two separate, in that this is the way I invest. Okay. This is my program. This doesn't have to be your program. I can't say it any more simple than that. There might be certain aspects of my portfolio that you like. There might be other aspects of my portfolio that you don't like. You're not going to hurt my feelings. As a matter of fact, you're going to get my encouragement if somebody comes and says, "Why aren't KK here, Ryan? I don't like Boeing. What are you thinking with Altria Group?" And I'll tell you, and we can agree to disagree, or we can agree to agree. But a little bit on the cash rich side here, with just close to 15% in the cash and the taxable brokerage. Writing some contracts in here. Very, very happy. Little bit of swell in the portfolio, obviously, with the Hyzon news blowing the stock up. Rightfully so. A little bit of some profit taking today on the stock. I don't really care what happens with the stock. I'm not investing in it for a headline. I liked the news that came out, but nonetheless, the real proof test is going to be the 23rd. Let's make no mistake about that. All right. So there it is, 102,682, and that the Roth number one has really exploded quite nicely. It's really swelling up comfortably in that six-figure range. Hopefully, we can stay there. I don't know. Geez, this market. If anybody's got it figured out, please raise your hand and let me know. I'm not one of them. So we're strategically making moves. I'm watching it like a shark. But there's that ARC G position that I was kind of telling you about. Rolled out some of those positions from the aggressive growth there on the other side in Google. I think that's the only one from that aggressive side. Yeah, it is. And then still holding IPOE was a real outperformer today, really did quite nicely. We hold a healthy position in both those and the speculative, and then of course the value aspect, and finally the boring old passive in the portfolio. This boring old passive is kind of making me wealthy. It's a good indication for a lot of new investors to say, I can do that to start. The answer is yes, you can. So there's Roth 1 and Roth 2 here is trudging right along. These values kind of close the gap with each other. CrowdStrike was a real standout today. It is one of my top 5 growth names for 2021 in big tech growth, kind of to take the SPAC play out of it, kind of to take some of those new IPO plays out of the equation there. CrowdStrike is one of the top 5 with CRM, Salesforce, and Amazon, which is kind of taking a break, Facebook and Google. All right. So there it is. Those are the numbers. That's how they shake out as of today. So that gives you guys a little bit of an update there. And then the passive, this is again a maintenance-free portfolio, doing quite nice with with all 11 sectors in this taxable, closing in on that 14,000. Remember, the initial goal here, guys, was to get to 10,000. Okay, so the next step up in my game is 25,000. Okay, don't make this more difficult than it needs to be, and we're proving that we can do it in a number of different capacities. Okay. Now, that the portfolio that I just rolled out to you guys, the 67 holdings, I know there's going to be some schools of thought out there that think I'm crazy. You can think what you want. This is what I wanted to do. I wanted to grab some exposure, avoid overlap in this small portfolio, and this is what I did. These are the Goldman Sachs, the Costco's of the world, some Bank of Nova Scotia, things like that I just can't find a place for in my other portfolio. I mean, a NextEra Energy, right? Some of these companies that I want exposure to, But it just made sense from a baseline perspective to add these into the portfolio and really start a dividend growth portfolio. I really like the way M1 Finance functions with wealth building. I really do. And so this is a step in that direction to embolden that. Real quick, 4669, that's just the TSP there, doing quite well. That's trudging right along. And I'll skip over the options. It's kind of the same, holding on to those. And there it is, just less than 19. Pretty stoked on that progress, man. So that's the way things have shaken out, and hell, it's just a number. What does it mean? My goals are to continue toward that financially secure future for me and my family, and I believe I'm doing that. And I believe, more importantly, for you, it's absolutely one of those things to where if you're making your way to the message, you're going to hear it both from myself and JMac investing, that you can do it as well. And that's the inspiring message, guys. At this point, we don't need to do this. We don't. But I do this out of sheer passion for the mission, out of sheer passion for reaching one investor at a time out there. And when they come to me and say, "Hey, man, I've been catching your message, man. Good job," or "Hey, you motivated me to kind of take a look at the stock market, but look at it with a different lens." That's what's important. Not just jump in like everybody else is jumping in. I had a colleague at work tell me, "Hey, I had a friend that made $6 million on GameStop." And I don't think he's BSing me. And I said, "Well, how much did he have to put at risk in that to make that 6 million?" He said 200,000. I said, I'm like, $200,000, man, to put to risk like that. That's not investing. It's gambling. You might as well just go play roulette. And I just want to keep those two swim lanes completely separate. If you can make money doing one or the other, great. I just think that investing and value investing, or any capacity of technical investing, fundamental investing, etc., appeals to the masses. So with that, man, I want to bring on my friend J Mac. He's in the gallery here. He's waiting, and we can run this thing together. Jason, welcome to the live stream, man. Do I got you?
It was me, my bad.
Yeah, no, I got you. Yeah.
Audio coming in okay?
Yeah, now it's loud and clear. I got you.
Okay, great.
Nice.
Yeah. Nice to see you. How's everything?
Yeah, everything's super good, man. It's just, you put in years in this mission, and it's nice to see the stock market do this. I don't know if this is a blow off top or what. I mean, it's not going gangbusters. It's a pretty controlled rally. But there's just a lot of underchurn. There's a lot of values doing really, really well. I had a penny stock, and I won't name the ticker symbol because people who see my portfolio, they know which one I'm talking about, because sometimes they ask me about it because they're very astute. And it went up 600% this week. And I was like, you got to be kidding me, man. The stock market must be going crazy if I've got a micro penny stock. I'm talking about 0.0002. I own 500 shares of it. So if it does anything interesting, hey, lucky me, but I usually have no such luck. But when that stuff's going on, I just throw my hands in the air and be like, hey, it's good to be alive, And
Yeah.
how's everything with you?
Yeah, great. I mean, to that point, I was watching. I always watch Josh Brown off of CNBC. He's like one of the only guys, but he has a YouTube channel.
He's really good.
Really good, right? And so I love his analysis of the market. So, so him and the other guy do a weekly podcast where they go back and forth. And they don't know what each other's going to ask each other, and so it's always about what happened in the market this week. Well, one of the things was that the small cap market has went just parabolic. So to your point, as a matter of fact, I'm very active on Twitter. And there's a lot of guys who are penny stock traders that tag me in a lot of stuff. So I keep up with a lot of this stuff. And, so in the NASDAQ and the New York Stock Exchange, there is only two stocks left on the NASDAQ and New York Stock Exchange that are under $1. Every single one of them. It was like this game that penny stock traders were playing. any stock that was under $1, they just started playing it. And now they got it to where there's only 2 left.
Oh my gosh.
I played one this week too. When there was 3 left, I picked one. And
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not big, you know. I put
Yeah.
I think I put $1,500 in it, and I made once it hit $2,000, I was up like 20%. I
There
sold
you
it.
go.
That was
There you
it.
go. Take a little profit.
But
That's good.
I just saw that this was something that, again, like the Wall Street bets thing. This is something that people were doing, and it was strategic. So I'm like, okay. So if
Yeah.
you can carefully play with those things, you can scalp a little bit. But I'm like you. There's no way I'd put 200 grand up for anything unless it's something fully believe in. That if things went south, it's something I believed in. You know what I mean?
Well, as this friend I was speaking with, that was the very reason why he was reaching out to me, because in the same breath he said, "Well, that's why I'm coming to you, Ryan, so you can find that next moonshot for me." And I was like, "Whoa, hold on, time out. Let me explain a little bit about what I do. I might just bore you to hell because I've had people come to me as well, colleagues of mine that are very heavy into Bitcoin and the grander cryptocurrency market, which, you know, Jason, it's really interesting. I've probably done more research on Bitcoin than the average bear, enough to justify taking a speculative position in Bitcoin, and have chosen not to. Do you have any opinion at all on Bitcoin, or a consensus from your crowd on what in the hell is going on? Because I'm a little bit frustrated. You know, I just,
Right.
man, do fundamentals even matter? I mean, do you just need to catch a wave, get on it for a bit, and then look for the next wave? Is that really where we're going?
But I mean, with those, I mean, you know what? You really can kind of look at Bitcoin like gold or silver. They really aren't. You know, I mean, I know that they say gold is pegged to gold, but is it really? The ETFs with
Yeah,
$400 billion back worth of whatever,
good point.
with that much money into an ETF, do they really have that much gold? You know, I don't know. They
Exactly.
probably don't. So I think it's because of when there's a high chance of inflation, people will, these kind of areas people go to. You know what I mean? So I think Bitcoin now is now like a hedge like gold or silver. And it's funny. And my brother it was now, who. So I used to dabble in crypto, in 2018, and I lost my shorts, and I never went back into it. But I remember during, and I got pretty like you. I was down in the weeds. I mean, I totally understand the technology. I understand all of the semantics around it, and I understand just as much as anyone else that's pretty well versed in crypto. And but now he's in it, and he used to mock me when I was in it. You know what I mean? And he's like day trading crypto, so that it's like a it's like a real momentum thing when like everybody and their brother, no pun intended, is is starting to dabble in it that never has, when they're seeing numbers, Bitcoin 50K, stuff like that.
Oh,
So
Josh Brown too made a good point this week on CNBC. I heard him explain Bitcoin as an asset that he owns, he doesn't understand, and that he dubs it an asset that, I want to get this right for the audience, that goes up, and the more it goes up, the more people buy it, making it go higher. Did
yeah,
you? And it's like, wow, it kind of goes against some schools of thought of, I don't want to get too crazy on crypto. It's out there. I think it adds a little bit of wave of excitement to the market. Maybe it's bringing new folks in. I actually would love to have it to be some utility, Jay. I was so close. I've had my Coinbase account downloaded on my phone for years now, and it's never held a penny. And just last night I was sitting there and I almost hit the $100 deposit mark just because, but it's just like it breaks my rule of not really knowing what in the hell or why the hell I'm doing it. Is
right.
I guess it's my own barrier I've got to get over, I
No,
guess,
no,
but I feel like I'm forced into it because the crowd's forced into it, and
yeah.
I don't like to feel that way.
Yeah, I mean, the way I am about it is I don't like I dedicated a channel in my Discord for it. I let folks talk about it. I don't even go and involve myself
Right.
in a conversation. I don't ridicule anyone who invests in
No.
it. I don't argue with people. I try, and so I
I
just
think it's fabulous. I don't know about some of the other coins like see, I know more about Bitcoin than any and Ethereum. Those are the
yeah.
two, right? The other stuff, I don't understand why we need 1,000 different.
Yeah, we definitely don't. I mean, and like it's just really there are some and that's my and hit, this is where I'm an outlier, and so when I say this, the Bitcoin maximalist or the crypto like super enthusiast, they're gonna go, they throw tomatoes at me, but at the end of the day, listen, this thing runs off of servers all around the world, right? And in some cases, a lot of these cryptos are running because you download the blockchain to a computer, and then you can begin to you can be a part of the process of verification of blocks on the blockchain, right? So but in a lot of cases, these things are running on laptops, like you got your desktop computer right there, and I'm like, the way this thing is going to scale, and the blockchain itself, the technology is fabulous, but it's going to be eventually. It's already being worked on by the likes of IBM and Facebook and
Yes, it is.
big, huge companies that have the server capability to spin up servers that could, where a whole countries, even nations, across the globe can interact, and there will be no latency, and so in my humble opinion, it's going to be somebody like IBM or Facebook that's going to create a
Yeah.
globalized currency crypto, not even Bitcoin. Bitcoin is just going to be a novelty that's probably always going to be valuable, but it's a novelty.
I 100% agree with you on that. I think I can't wait for that day. I think it's brilliant. I guess it speaks a little bit more to my diminishing bullish thesis on physical banks. Are we going to have physical banks in 20 years?
SoFi, banks like
Well,
SoFi, and
that speaks to my bullish initiative on that theory. I know that financial institutions, they make their money in a lot of different ways that that's their bread and butter. It's not necessarily the retail client that will come into a physical bank is their bread and butter anyway. But yeah, SoFi thinks it's got it figured out. It had a nice day today, Jay. I always enjoy to hear your perspective on the SPAC, and I don't want to put you on the spot if you don't have any news to, but I kind of want to throw you a softball because it's my most enjoyable thing to ask you about, because I'm confused as hell as to what the I don't know, man. I've digressed on my application. I think there's just a ton of money, and it's hard to walk away from what I feel like is very lucrative, but I feel better about it. I really do. I feel better, and it speaks to the masses too that maybe come into investing and they're like, Jesus, where do I start? Do I start with Apple and Microsoft, or do I start jumping into a few SPACs here, or I don't know where to start, and I think it speaks to that grander discipline, and it takes some discipline, it takes some research, but tell us what you got, man, if you don't mind.
yeah, I will. I for sure will. But before we transition, I think like I wanted to piggyback on real quick on what you were saying about banks, because even like Rebecca is asking there, wouldn't the banks eventually jump on the crypto bandwagon if it truly becomes a viable choice? So really, the only reason we still need brick and mortar banks is to, when someone gives you money, you gotta, the only way if you're gonna not spend it is that exchange. So yes, so that's where the digital currency comes into play at some point. That once and if we do away with physical currency and we have a digital currency, there's no more need for brick and mortar banks, right? Period, at all, really. So that's really where that goes. Where they really do go away at that point. Um, SPACs. I mean, so it was sort of a weird week. this week, I can give you a bit of a recap. It was all about the freaking Lucid Motors rumor that still hasn't finalized, and like trillions. I mean, it's probably not trillions of dollars, but like so much money is going into this thing. There's never been any type of SPAC like this, where so it's still a rumor, but this thing ran up. It's at $40 with no definitive agreement. It's still just a rumor, a Bloomberg rumor. The warrants hit
Oh,
$19 today,
oh no, man.
and
I,
it's
that's stepping over the line there. I mean, they're going to get a definitive agreement, right?
yeah.
So they know that the stars have aligned such that they're just waiting to be cherry picked.
Yeah.
So,
But it's just one of those things that's just never occurred where people were. I mean,
wow.
to the credit of Lucid Motors, I do believe it's probably the closest thing to Tesla, as far as automobile EV makers that there is, and that there will be. Honestly, so it's a legitimate company that is, just a pretty awesome company. But like me, I speculated into it, and I've been trimming my position the whole way. And I mean,
Going
but
up.
most of the people in my Discord and most of, like, if you go on Twitter, like that's why I haven't even been talking about it on Twitter, because I've been selling all along the way. And
Yeah.
but it's just kind of like crypto, where it's like, hodl or hold, don't sell, or like the game thing where I'm like, man, there's so many good SPACs that, yeah, okay, this thing could go now from 40 to maybe 80. This one could set a record and be like the most expensive SPAC ever. But I still don't feel like I'm gonna miss out, because I'm gonna
Mhm.
make up for it in some other SPACs that I know, or that I know
Yeah.
I don't know if it fails or it doesn't come through. There's just too much risk for me involved. I mean, I still got that conservative dividend mindset, even with my speculation.
Oh, you can have both mindsets, Jason.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
that's what people don't really understand is that you don't have to buy into five philosophies. I could name all five of my strategies. That's why Matt M is saying I'm so confused. Man, do yourself a favor, Matt. Stick around, okay? Jason's been investing for 68 years in his life, okay, and I've been investing about the same. No, I'm just kidding. This is an ever evolving a craft here, and Jason, I don't again want to speak for you. I'll speak for me. I spend a lot of time paying attention to financial markets. Okay. More than the average bear. So if you come in here on a live stream and after 33 minutes expect to leave an expert, I do apologize if some of the lingo and some of the conversation, but a short year ago I didn't know what a SPAC was either. Okay, so give it a chance. Sit back and don't let this opportunity slip, because I wasn't sure I was prepared to do kind of a lesson tonight on where I think people really F up in the market. And I see it day in and day out, even with people that I engage with, what brings them to the market, what they think that they've got to understand about financial markets to get started. And man, I hate to say that it's wrong. I hate to say that. I mean, who am I, right? But man, there's ways of stepping into the market and giving yourself that chance rather than just coming into the arena and thinking that you need to beat it or figure it out.
Yeah.
Markets aren't like that. I mean, do you want to say a little piece on that, Jake? It kind of goes in with the theme tonight on where I see a lot of people kind of messing up. Either they're too involved in the market, or they're not involved at all, or they're not involved enough. They're trying to find that sweet spot.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I mean, yeah. I mean, you come in and you usually mess up, but that's the thing that right now, though, many people are coming in and they're not experiencing that yet, but they will. You experience failure, and then you recalibrate, and typically people would move into ETFs and or dividend aristocrats, things like that to start with, and that's what you should do, probably, to start with, to learn some safer plays, maybe, while you're even maybe trying some other things. But it's really, experience is the best teacher, I think. But if you listen to someone like Ryan, he can help get help you from getting burned maybe so much that you leave the stock market. That's the thing we don't want. We don't want people messing up like that. So, but to Matt, to what I'm talking about with SPACs is they are just like an IPO, if you know what an IPO is, but it's just another method of IPO. So that's what we're talking about with SPACs, just to dumb it down and make sure you're on the same page what we're talking about there. But it's a reverse merger type of a play. So anyway, you can go off on a tangent with that and then run and do some research on that. But it's a whole nother niche market in the stock market that has now grown to a massive, to just about as big or getting close to as big as the IPO market. So something you should have on your radar to find some companies that are, very early stage where you couldn't invest in these kind of companies before, but now you can through a SPAC. So that's kind of what we're talking about.
That's the way I look at it. I look at it like opportunity, but I just think a lot of people to start can be like, hey, do I have a 401k or do I not? Because that's the first question I ask people. And a lot of people are like, yes, I do. And I'm like, do you know what's in it? And they're like, I have no idea. And it's like, well, okay, you might want to start there because being conveniently naive isn't necessarily good enough. A 401k kind of allows you that out, but if you are contributing to a 401k, what people need to understand is, look, are you happy with that? Do you get a company match? Is that something that you want to rely on independently for the rest of your life? In other words, have you taken a step back and asked yourself, hey, maybe there's some opportunity to layer up a little bit. Maybe there's some room for an individual retirement account. Maybe there's some room for an individual brokerage account. If the answer is no, no big deal, right? There's no right or wrong answer. It's just starting that conversation with people so they understand that, man alive, if the answer is no, I don't have a 401k, well, my answer back to you is investing for you is not like something you should choose or not to do. I'm telling you it's a necessity, whether or not you like it or not. Like, you have to invest. Like, what are you going to do down the line, man? I mean, do you want to be financially secure, or do you want to be a minimalist, living that vagabond life, which I think there's some beauty in that too. Don't get me wrong. I'm not here to judge. I'm not telling you money's going to make you successful. I'm not telling you it's going to make you happy, but if it's something that you aspire to, then you need to start to put the tools in place to make some of that stuff happen. And this is how you make it happen. I don't know.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. I mean, yeah, like I kind of jokingly say when people exuberantly start investing and then they experience their first volatility, and then they begin to begin to back or down talk a specific stock or ETF or whatever, or ridicule someone else about their decision. I'm like, well, listen, if you want, you can just go back to put your money in savings. You can get about 0.4% right now. So that's your choice. If you can't handle so that is the other part of that is if I can and I say it regularly to people, if there's one thing you can learn during this investing journey is if you can begin to learn to handle volatility. You have to begin to be able to see beyond downturns and see opportunities during downturns. If you can do that, that's when you can become a successful investor and successful in the stock market.
Well said. Well said. There's a ton of people that'll benefit from that insight, and I say the way I explain it to new investors when they come into the opportunity, we want to be the best parent we can be. We want to be the best spouse we can be. We want to, try our best to eat well. I'm still a few pounds over from the holiday. When I go to the gym, I went to the gym yesterday, man, and I was bench pressing. I bench press with emotion. You know what I'm saying? When Rammstein comes on, man, I'm ready to rip. All right. I mean, freak. That's my medicine, baby. It's an emotional thing, and we're emotional creatures. The stock market is the one thing that you need to learn the discipline of investing like a robot. All right. Investing with emotion, like this week, I was up 15 grand at one point in Hylion, and I was like, God's honest truth. I've been through this so many times. I knew the sell-off was going to happen today, and I was actually happy by the action at the end of the market, settling right below 19, after market right at 19. I'm happy with that because it was in some deep water there, you know. But just one small example, fairly big monetarily, but one small example of just getting to that fitness level, because there's an emotional fitness level for the market. I hate to use that term because it doesn't speak to how important you have to be when it comes to how neutral you really need to do with sitting back, being deliberate, and say, why am I doing what I'm doing? Answer the 5 questions: what, where, when, why, and how. And once you've done that, you really understand why you're doing it. Then don't be pissed off or surprised when something doesn't go the way that you expected it to go. That's the problem. Most people think they're going to enter into investing, and they're going to look at it every stinking day, and every stinking day it'll go up. I even have savvy investors that come to me and do this. They're like, "Hey, Ryan, God, the market's down 2 days here, man," and I'm like, "So what? Like, I don't. I'm okay. I'm trying to understand where you're coming from, and I'm not trying to be an asshole about it. I'm just it's irrelevant. I'm interested in focusing on things that are relevant, and that
Yeah.
just isn't relevant. It's not."
Right. Yeah. And a counter to like learning volatility and like controlling yourself on red days. This is something I've learned more, and this is I'm about 2 years in now, so I'm just starting to learn this now. Is on really and because also I was more buy and hold, but now I'm in more of a I have a lot more positions that are more trading. That I'm trading. So now on really hot green days, I'm learning that those are the days where you take profits, right? So cash in on if, and this is just depending on your style of investing. Obviously, I'm not telling you if you're a buy and hold investor to do this, but if you're if you're a semi trader, if you trade some in your account, when it gets real hot, don't think, all right, yeah, I'm the man. This thing's
Look,
gonna
man,
keep.
let me ask you just a piercing question. Do you think you're good at what you do, Jason?
Probably
In other
media.
words, do you make money off of your trades?
I've been doing well, but I still say I'm probably mediocre and on the way up.
Evolving. I
Yeah,
think you're probably not being quite fair, but all right. In your words, mediocre, and I think you're being a little bit conservative with that. But here's the thing, man. If somebody comes, never apologize for your style. Number one, I've learned that, and I've had it tested on social media. In that, I have people that'll come on and be like, "You suck because you're this," or "You suck because you changed your mind," and or "You just suck because you suck," or whatever. And it's like, you know what? Sooner or later, I hear that stuff enough, and I'm like, you know what? People suck.
who
Screw
cares?
off.
Right.
Who cares, man? I don't, and I think you're being a little bit, close to the vest with that. That's why I asked the question. But here's the thing: I want people to really, really understand, man. There's a lot of opportunity in the stock market. There's a lot of opportunity. But what you explained there, you hit on a couple discipline points. Like you're noticing that while everybody's buying on a euphoric green day, you're doing what I'm doing, Jason. I don't know, and it's worked for me for many, many years, many, many years. And I look forward to those days that are down big. I don't care at all about the red number in my account, which seemingly is everybody's focal point, right? I don't care about that. I care about how can I increase my share base today at a cheaper price. And that right there is the secret sauce of investing. If new investors can hear that and be like, wow, I just heard in 2 different ways, Jason explained it one way and Ryan explained it in another way, kind of scary. Like, dang, Ryan, you want me to buy when the stock market's down? That makes no sense. Well, sense is an emotion or an instinct. And I want you to get rid of all that crap. Okay. Investing, man, requires discipline. It requires you to do what it is that the crowd is not doing most of the time.
Right. Well, when someone else is getting real excited about a stock and starting paying up on it, that's when you start cashing out.
Exactly.
But hey, yeah, let's do a little talk a little bit. I know you want to because let me
Sure,
see where
sure,
we're at 45 minutes. So I know you might.
sure.
Yeah, we want to talk a little bit about Hylion. We got to. I mean, I had to go on Twitter and kind of go. because I, a lot of. So
I'm glad you did.
I'm a long time tied to Hylian, obviously, and so
Oh,
I get
okay.
flack. I get flack on social media sometimes,
Okay.
um, and
And you go first, and then I'll give you my perspective because
right,
people are going to want to hear this.
yeah. I'm actually making a video tomorrow too, so I'm not going to go
Good
into.
idea.
Like, I'm not going to pick up the points that I'm all the points.
No,
But
don't.
at the end of the day, what we saw this week was what I always saw was that this
Yep.
is a company that have made all the right decisions, and and what it really does is it validates the team and the engineers that are at Hyliion. That some people were like, "What are they doing? What are they doing? They're not doing anything. They're not making announcements. Blah blah blah." They're working, so they're just behind the scenes working, and they got killer innovative battery technology now that's insane, and that's going to and so it's just a validation of the what we all saw, and what the people who who bought and sold out and got angry, but at one point they saw it too. To me, this is what we saw this week. I don't think this is going to be enough momentum to keep the stock price moving upwards. I think it's still going to be
No.
volatile. I know I heard you say the earnings report. I actually still think we don't really get the breakout until
We're not.
we see that first contract with the ERX Hypertruck ERX. But I mean, now you could
Well,
see.
if they've got 50, 60 hybrids, see, they beat on earnings last time, right? So,
Right.
and people don't understand that because they're too busy bitching. My expectation is not to come out with a beat on the top and bottom line for Hyliion. That's not fair expectations of a company that's looking to build out,
A
right?
pre revenue, yeah. I mean, it is what it is.
That's right.
It's a brand new company.
Um, but this battery company, what people don't understand as well, that this was in the investor presentation, right? With the Toshiba cores, they acquired this company. This was an acquisition that was made before they went SPAC. And this is an improvement on what is going to be the heart of both their hybrid and the heart of their Hypertruck ERX system. Okay, so you can imagine these guys sitting around with their engineering group right now, their technology group, because it does mention that additional piece to this is the battery monitoring system, the BMS. All right, this is huge for these guys. The cooling, the four specs of emphasis blew it out of the water. There was a reason why the stock popped because that was a big deal. Okay, it was a big deal. It was a big deal.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
a
No,
big deal.
it was kind of a technological breakthrough for just the battery
Yeah,
industry, really.
yeah. 8 minute charging, which for Hyliion, what people really don't understand is it's a step in the right day for BEV, right? But for their onboard system, that thing is charging as it's moving down the road. Okay.
Right.
So
Yep.
the cooling aspect and the ability of it to take a charge within 8 minutes is freaking a technological breakthrough, to use your words. It's impressive. And then with the management system technology on there and the cooling system, that's huge. Now, what was not said in the report this week was what was initially rolled out with how good this acquisition was on this battery system. This battery system is supposed to 2x any chassis that they put the thing on. In other words, the question is, well, is this going to be a Prius where they're, having a high cost of replacement at 5 to 10 years? The answer is no. This is a long life battery in there. And what's funny too, Jason, is I read all the short reports every single day on this thing. And what they failed to do is actually tell the story correctly, which it pisses me off, which I understand why they're doing it. But when you read those reports, you have to read it with a lens to understand that they have an objective and they have a purpose and a motive. And I think it's really unfortunate. Okay. They're not writing those articles just for information. Let me tell you that
Right.
much right now. They're getting paid a lot for it, and they're getting paid from someone, right? To write that stuff. You'll notice that one day will be one way, and then another writer from the same organization will write and go the other way with it.
Jim Cramer.
Well,
No.
I think yeah, it could be. I don't know. I don't watch TV anymore, Jason, so I don't know. I don't know what Jim Cramer's
Well,
doing
I'm
anymore.
just saying he
Um,
seems to short a lot of SPACs. He's been targeting SPACs for 6 months. Like he goes hot and he goes cold on them.
Sure. So Hyliion acts like a stock that's got a 20% short float because you get good news on it, and then exactly what I presumed would happen. I've been watching the price action every single day. I watch it. I'm very, very into being an investor in this company. I mean, I meet the quintessential definition of a company that I want to be part of. That's how I look at it. So I don't really care. I mean, you look at it, well, okay, it spiked this week. That's all lovely. The fact of the matter is the stock is up double since it came IPO, right? Came back at $10.50, $11.50, whatever it was. The warrant piece to actually get that off the books was a good thing for the company. It sucked for me. It ate my lunch, but I understand why they did it, and I think long term it'll be a great thing. But the stock is up, 100%. So I don't understand what people really want. It's valued at 3 billion right now. I think pre-20, it's a good opportunity to add to your watch list at least. Don't just jump out and buy it because I've got a rather large position in it.
Right.
I've done my homework. I can go through being up 15 grand this year and then giving back 6 to the stock gods today. And then see it kind of settle out at the end of the day and be like, right on, man. I really enjoyed the price action of that. I'm very encouraged by it. But yeah, no, it was good news. I look forward to your video. I really do. It's an investment for me. It's obviously not a SPAC anymore. The only SPAC I own is SoFi. That's it. That's
Right.
it. And we're going to take that one long as well, because where you're playing kind of the short game, I'm looking to play the long game. And I think both strategies have its merit. You really have to just be very, very careful in that mid-range game. That's where you can really get burned with these suckers.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Yeah. I mean, while I say I don't think it's the breakout point, I do think it is a new momentum point for the company. So I think we're now it's moving. This is moving it out of maybe some bear territory into maybe a little bit of momentum. So and
Technically, it works. Okay, so technically it blew right through. Okay, you go up 30% in a day, you're going to get people's attention. All
yeah,
right. I'm sure the analyst that downgraded it to 12 feels like an asshole, which he should. I mean, that just reeked. That report was so terrible. I'm surprised that they let him fly the Goldman Sachs flag, because that's embarrassing. It's embarrassing. That's
yeah,
embarrassing. Just like a lot of that other crap. It's like they don't, if they want to write a piece, why don't you read about the company and actually speak intelligently about it? So you actually know what the technology is. The ironic part that gets missed all the time with Hyliion, and we could talk about all the deals and all the customer base that they're acquiring. But what it is for me really is that this company is a technology company. Okay. That's the key. The ability to build a smarter truck and game out the routes before a company engages in that is incredible. It's all about data, and it's all about putting the right truck on a route, putting the right driver in a truck that has certain characteristics. That's the crazy part, and that's really where this isn't coming from me, guys. I didn't make this up. Dana did. This is where they see the value in Hyliion. That's why they're the number one shareholder. And that's why they put their number one stud over on the Hyliion team, because they want to see this thing through. And I believe that they will. It's just my opinion. That's all. It's pretty strong conviction, but it's the way I feel. We'll see. We'll see.
yeah. I'm with you.
No,
I'm
I
with you.
think you're right. I think the back half of 2021 is going to be a lot more
Breakout.
fun. And it's going to be great. I took it into a little bit of deep water. I'm back in the black on it, believe it or not. I was accumulating shares between, at the high, a couple hundred at 20, but the majority of my shares were accumulated between 16 and 18. That's where I fell the sweet spot. So I felt a little pain in the 15s. And then when the downgrade happened, I was like, okay, that's going to suck. That's going to be some red deep water at 12. I don't see that happening. I don't. I think, to your point, I think it infused enough of a bridge where, I'm interested to hear from Sherry Baker on this call. I'm interested to hear from Healy the updates. And we'll just see. We'll just see going forward, and not to overblow the conversation. I have opted, for the sake of being an investor, Jason, to probably not do any more Hyliion videos. I think it's just a stance and an ethical decision on my part because I've already said my piece. I think if you're going to base decision the stock, I kudos to you for coming out with it now pre-20, because I think buying it between 15 and 20, who cares, right? There's no diff. But the last thing I want to see is a bunch of asshole bandwagoners coming out on YouTube when this thing hits 30, 40, 50 again and blowing up their YouTube channels. And you'll see me be silent. And I do so because I don't want to see people hurt, by FOMO buying the stock up, and they have no idea other than, they were told to do so through YouTube. I won't play ball anymore. I don't need to. I'm fine. And I choose not to. So, but last word to you, my friend. I hated to go on my soapbox with that stock, but I'm super happy with the company. Super happy. I like everything that's in place right now. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Looking forward to it, to the future.
Yeah, for sure. Well, last parting words, my friend. We've got the other stream coming on as well. I fell off of that stream because I had the shakes last week. I had the reaction to my second COVID shot. So this week I'm feeling alive. Yeah, I got cold. And I shook. I bowed out stage right. I was out. But anyway, parting words for the group, my friend, please.
Yeah. No, I hope everybody has a great weekend, and like I said, hang around Ryan, and come check me out sometime as well. Maybe some differing stocks that we're entering, but a lot of the principles apply, like we're talking about tonight. That if those principles, if you grab a hold of, it obviously helps us. We're seeing some great growth in the portfolios, obviously, and so grab a hold of some of this knowledge, and so hopefully maybe we'll see you back next week. We'll see.
Absolutely. That sounds great. Thank you, Jason. I appreciate you, man. Be well to you and the family. All right. Be well.
Have a good.
Yeah, so what Jay was talking about there with the disciplines, this is kind of a new initiative, okay? 10 years ago, you would have never had this opportunity through social media to come on and hear a couple different applicating styles. There's probably another 30 at least styles that are represented in the community here. So if you like what I'm saying, if you don't, no big deal. Make sure that you kick over and use this thread as a drop point for information. Go in and grab your subscription to some of these folks, because this is the community. This is it right here. Okay. 9 o'clock. I do not miss this opportunity. People need to understand that I kick the door open for 60 minutes every single Friday. And it is that important to me because I know in my heart that it is important to you. So when I have Jason on with JMac Investing, I always want everybody to understand that he's going to be a mainstay on the Friday live stream. He's known for the history of the channel that it's been an open door policy, but I enjoy doing the live stream with somebody else. It allows me to go through and catch some of the comments in the thread here. While he's making his point, I can kind of daisy chain some of the questions in and make everybody feel like they're part of the group. But with that, I'm going to stay behind after this live stream. I'm going to drop an invite into the bottom of the thread right now. So don't hesitate. Every single week I've had somebody kick on for whatever reason. If you didn't want to ask the question, there it is. It's dropping now. You can kick back into the studio. You can kick in there now. I'm not going to put you on there until I secure from the live stream. But I just want to remind everybody, I did a promo video. I did Winston Gold. They just started producing and they hit me up to let everybody know. So both back to back, I did the original video again. I should unmonetize that, but I didn't. I kept it monetized because I like how Google promotes those a little bit better. But kick over, man. Check that video. I worked pretty hard out on that. That's pretty awesome. Winston Gold. It's a domestic player. And Joe Caraba, who's big in the gold industry, actually is involved with that company. And I can't invest in it because I do the promo on it. But you guys will benefit from having at least the opportunity for me to roll those opportunities out to you and at least add them to your watch list. I mean, what the hell? It doesn't hurt anybody. But with that, guys, I feel a heck of a lot better this week, man. Getting back into my groove and my routine. But I just want to thank everybody for their time, man. From the freaking bottom of my heart, you guys are rocking out. Each and every dollar earned on your behalf is a step in the right direction as far as the mission that we're trying to get through and breaking down barriers on this mission of empowering one investor at a time, guys. Be well, and we'll catch you next week.